Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. All the events begin on Earth 828, and we see the genius Mr. Fantastic doing what he does best, arranging his devices and inventions while searching for a strange cactus compound that he can't find anywhere. Here, his wife Sue Storm, known as the Invisible Woman, offers to go look for it, but something seems off. She comes out of the bathroom looking very nervous, and instead of leaving the house, she gives him a pregnancy test. The result is positive. They had been trying for 2 years with no luck, but the thing they dreamed of most is finally happening. Then the scene cuts to a big celebration marking 4 years since the Fantastic Four first appeared. The announcer starts telling their story, how 4 daring explorers, Dr. Reed Richards, his close friend Ben Grimm, his wife Sue Storm, and her younger brother Johnny Storm, went on a space mission that turned their lives upside down. During that mission, they were exposed to a violent cosmic storm that altered their DNA. When they returned to Earth, things got strange in a superpowered way. They began to develop extraordinary abilities. Thus, the Fantastic Four team was born. It was a test of their strength, unity, and what it really meant to be a family. One of their most famous feats was when they stopped Mole Man, who tried to steal the entire Panama building but didn't get far. The team stopped him quickly. They also foiled the plot of the Mad Thinker, who wanted to destroy New York City. And let's not forget Red Ghost and his Super Apes, who were defeated by the team's courage and teamwork. Their bravery made them more than just heroes. They became icons. People saw them as symbols of hope. Sue Storm wasn't just powerful. She was smart too. She managed to negotiate and make a peace treaty on her own with Mole Man himself. At the celebration, the crowd goes wild as each member is introduced. The genius Mr. Fantastic, the clever thinker Sue Storm, the daring Johnny Storm known as the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, the rock-solid thing. People love them, cheer for them, and consider them as one of their own. They're not just superheroes, they're protectors. After the celebration, we see them preparing for a quiet family dinner with their loyal and precise robot assistant. Sue and Reed arrive a bit late. Someone jokes about their tardiness, which makes Sue nervous for a moment, leading to awkward laughter and suspicious looks. Everyone starts to feel that something's not quite right, especially from how they're acting. Then Sue announces the news that she's pregnant. The room explodes with joy. Johnny and Ben are just as excited as the soon-to-be parents, celebrating that they'll become uncles. They promise to be up to the responsibility and to be the best uncles in the world. The Fantastic family is growing, and everyone knows the best is yet to come. Even the whole team gets into baby preparation mode, reorganizing their place, reading about parenting, but everyone wonders if this child be born with superpowers or just be an ordinary human. During an ultrasound, a sudden alarm from space interrupts the moment. At the same time, Johnny bursts in, very excited. He's found the new suit designs for the team. But Mr. Fantastic looks at him seriously and tells him there's a new signal coming from space that needs his full attention. He prepares to receive the signal, but before he can, the lights go out. Total darkness. Without wasting a second, Johnny lights up the room with his power so they can keep working. Later, Sue discovers that her husband had the robot assemble the baby's crib, but when she looks closer, she realizes Reed was building something else on the side. A high-tech device designed to analyze whether the baby will have genetic mutations or superpowers. Mr. Fantastic explains that anyone can assemble a crib, but almost no one on Earth can build a device that could tell them if their child would be affected by the same cosmic radiation that altered his own DNA. But Sue uses her power to show Reed a clear, bright image of the baby growing inside her, a perfectly normal boy, at least on the outside. She reminds him that not everything needs to be measured to be understood. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Ben Grimm, the Thing, is out for a walk, trying to blend in with people as much as he can. Some kids run up to him, excited, and ask if he can lift a car so they can watch. Ben laughs and lifts the car like it's nothing. The kids go wild, cheering like crazy. Back at home, Reed proudly announces that he's finally finished assembling the crib and explains how he's been collecting data all along, trying to stay ahead of any danger to build a safe future for his child. But just as things start to calm down, the sky splits open, and something massive breaches the atmosphere. Johnny flames on and flies up to see what's happening, but he witnesses something terrifying. A powerful figure named Shalabal has just landed on Earth, leaving chaos and destruction in her wake. The Fantastic Four regroup on the ground, ready to face whatever comes. Shalabal lands with a heavy presence and a sad tone, announcing that her planet is doomed. Her world is about to be wiped out by an unstoppable force called the Devourer of Worlds. Stopping it is nearly impossible. The only thing left is to accept the end. She encourages everyone to hug their loved ones and confess anything in their hearts before time runs out. Her warning is deep, resolute, and final. This isn't a warning, it's a sentence. She announces the arrival of Galactus. Johnny, fired up, flies after her, but when he catches up, she swats him away and sends him crashing back to Earth with a single move. The team tracked her movements. They discover a pattern of entire planets disappearing, erased from existence, all connected by the same strange energy signature. Every time, Shalabal was there. Johnny tells the team that when she meets him, she speaks to him in a language he's never heard before. He doesn't understand the words, but he feels He searches through old archives and old recordings of interstellar languages. Hours pass, but finally, they find something exactly like what she described. At the same time, Mr. Fantastic unveils the new high-tech suits, sleek and fully upgraded. He explains their features, enhanced functions designed to handle extreme conditions, whether fighting for their lives or exploring the farthest reaches of space. The Fantastic Four return to the public eye in a huge event. Reed Richards takes the mic and reflects aloud. 4 years ago, they were just explorers with a shared dream, to reach the stars. That's why today, they're returning to space. Not as dreamers, but as defenders of humanity. After the speech, Ben goes to Reed to thank him for the new suit, but also to tell him something important. He tells him to stop blaming himself for what happened years ago. Reed still feels guilty and thinks the old suit he designed was the reason for their mutations. But Ben, with his usual honesty, reminds him that none of them hold it against him, and that it's time for him to stop carrying this burden into the next mission. After that, they say goodbye to the crowds, board the ship, fasten their seatbelts, and the journey begins. The Earth disappears behind them as they launch into deep space at faster-than-light speed. They're heading straight to Galactus, even though none of them actually know what the giant being looks like. After hours of radar scans, they finally detect a massive energy anomaly. They send a signal to a planet that's being destroyed and devoured. Everything that lived there is gone. Then, Mr. Fantastic does his calculations. Galactus's ship is about 13% bigger than Earth. That number alone makes the threat feel even more real. Sue Storm uses her invisibility powers to sneak inside the giant structure, but she doesn't stay hidden for long. Galactus is a being of unimaginable power. He discovers them, scanning them one by one, even the unborn child inside Sue. Then Shalabal appears again, calm, cold, and distant. She says that Galactus is ready to receive them and that they shouldn't have come at all. When they land, the team prepares for anything. They send Herbie, their loyal robot, to collect any samples for analysis. But Shalabal clarifies something important. Galactus doesn't choose the planets he devours. She chooses him. That's both her duty and her curse. Johnny approaches her, full of courage and questions, asking about the meaning of what she whispered before throwing him off her surfboard. Shalabal looks at him, her face expressionless, and replies calmly, "It means, die with your people." Finally, they confront Galactus, the terrifying devourer of worlds. But to their surprise, his ancient voice shakes the place as he speaks. He reveals that once, eons ago, he was just like them, a small, weak human. That was millions of years before the cosmic hunger overtook him, before he became the force of destruction now standing before them. He looks at them with presence and tells them they've traveled a long way, hoping to beg for mercy. He thinks he understands their mission and that they see themselves as worthy of saving their world. But Galactus isn't very interested in them. What he wants is the unborn child. He announces that the baby Sue Storm is carrying, her and Reed Richards' son, is the key. Inside him is something beyond human comprehension, raw, ancient cosmic power. Galactus makes his offer. He'll spare Earth on one condition. They give him the baby. Only then will the destruction stop. That baby is Franklin Richards. In the records of the universe, Franklin is listed as an Omega-level mutant, a being with extremely high-level powers like reality manipulation and tremendous psychic strength. In an infinite number of possible futures, he becomes one of the most powerful beings the universe has ever known. But right now, that power is hidden inside an unborn body. At this moment, fate moves the threads. Sue Storm goes into labor. The baby is coming. Galactus, with his terrifying voice, pronounces his judgment. "I will devour Earth slowly and make your child watch every second." Shalabal blocks their path. No one is leaving. A battle begins. The Fantastic Four pull themselves together and hold her off temporarily. There's no time to waste, so they rush back to their ship and launch at maximum speed. But Shalabal isn't finished. She flies after them, piercing the vacuum of space and matching their speed of light. In the middle of the chase, she tries to breach the ship and snatch the baby. Johnny Storm goes out to stop her, but he hesitates. From the first moment he saw her, she caught his attention. The physics don't help either. Moving at light speed, his powers are distorted. His flames are useless here. The team changes plans on the fly. They slow down the speed field, a risky move that could suck them into chronospace, a one-way trip to the unknown, but they have no other choice. In those few seconds, Sue uses her power to make the whole ship invisible. That's enough. They manage to escape Shalabal, who gets caught in the unstable currents of hyperspace, trapped, for now. The direct threat is gone, but time isn't on their side. They don't have enough fuel to get back to Earth quickly. Sue is exhausted and in pain. She can't take any more and starts giving birth. Reed, holding her, guides her with deep love, right in the heart of the cosmic storm. And so, in the heart of chronospace, a place where time and matter fold, Franklin Richards is born. A new light shines with cosmic radiance in total silence, a being who, one day, might change the fate of the universe. Finally, after a whole month, the Fantastic Four return to Earth. When their ship touches down, crowds fill the streets, clapping and cheering, tears of joy in their eyes. For the people, this is it, victory, because the heroes have returned. Surely Galactus has been defeated, but the team disembarks with heavy faces. Mr. Fantastic takes the mic, and amidst the roar of the crowd, he tells the bitter truth. Galactus was not defeated. He reveals that they made a deal, but the price was unimaginable. Galactus asked for something he would never be able to give him, his son, who was just born. At the same time, far away, Shalabal escapes her trap in hyperspace and returns to her master Galactus. Unaffected, he reminds Shalabal that both she and the child possess unimaginable power. But the boy, Franklin Richards, is the key, a being of infinite potential who could finally satisfy his eternal hunger and bring him peace. Shalabal must find the child and bring him to him. Reed Richards, confused, realizes he's dealing with something far beyond human logic. Galactus doesn't see Franklin as a child, but as his successor, the perfect vessel to inherit the curse of cosmic power. As panic begins to spread, Johnny approaches his sister with a strange-looking helmet, inside which he's stored traces of pheromones related to Shalabal, something that could send a secret message, her so-called blessing. Johnny confesses that he's heard that voice before, in ancient language archives. Now, with this evidence, he thinks he can help Mr. Fantastic decode who Shalabal really is and what she wants. But just as they start to make progress, the news spreads. Protests erupt everywhere. The crowds demand that the Fantastic Four hand over the baby to save the planet. Reed tries to reassure Sue, swearing he'll never let it happen. But Sue cuts him off. She knows. The thought crossed his mind. And that was enough for the trust to crack. She walks away and leaves him. In the streets, the huge crowds dominating the place, demanding the impossible, the life of a newborn child in exchange for the planet's survival. Then, from inside the building, someone steps out. No cloak, no shield, nothing at all, walking as if nothing can touch her. Sue Storm appears, her face steady, her steps confident. In her hands, she carries her newborn son. She walks through the crowd unaffected by the screams, the signs, or the camera flashes. Every step says the same thing. She's not here to ask permission. She's here to make one thing absolutely clear. She steps onto the platform standing above the chaos, and at that moment, the whole city falls silent. She says, "This child is not a symbol, not a weapon, not a price to be paid. He is her son. And if the world thinks it has the right to demand him, it is about to learn what a united family can do." She didn't want to hide, so she made a decision. They would fight, not for duty, not for glory, but for what truly matters. They would fight for their child, for humanity, and for the future. They would do it the only way they know how, together, as a family that never breaks. The crowd erupts in applause, and everyone stands with her. Then Mr. Fantastic steps forward, saying he has the ultimate solution. Move the Earth, move the entire planet to a part of the universe so far and hidden that Galactus could never find it. He explains that he has already built a bridge between dimensions. So far, he's only been able to move a single egg a few meters. But still, he stands before all humanity, proposing the boldest plan yet. Move the entire Earth to a corner of the universe where it could remain hidden for millions of years. To do something of this magnitude, they will need every resource, every ounce of power they have. That's why humanity must participate. Everyone will need to reduce their energy consumption to the lowest possible level. Meanwhile, Johnny finally cracks the full code behind Shalabal's ancient language. With this knowledge in hand, he prepares to begin his part of the plan and starts the process of moving the Earth. But just as things seem to be going right, Shalabal appears again out of nowhere, sabotaging the connections and killing the momentum at the most critical stage. Johnny remains unshaken, approaches her calmly and focused, and plays a transmission intercepted from deep space in her language. He tells her, "I know. I found out exactly who you are." He pieced together her past bit by bit through fragments of her original language. Now he reveals the truth. She was once a genius scientist. When Galactus came to her world, she offered him eternal loyalty in exchange for him sparing her family. He accepted and remade her. Those cryptic signals weren't warnings. They were messages of thanks from the only planet Galactus ever left alone. As he confronts her with the truth, Johnny forces her to face what she buried long ago, reminding her that she was the one who led Galactus to all these worlds that are now ashes, and now she's brought him to Earth. Shalabal, devastated by guilt, retreats, visibly shaken. Johnny follows her, trying to reach what's left of her humanity, telling her he understands her. She was protecting her planet, just as he is now. But she stops pretending. She's collapsed inside. She still demands the child, saying if Franklin were older, he would have sacrificed himself as she wanted. Johnny offers himself instead, but she coldly refuses, telling him, "That's not your decision." Then, in a cold voice, she says, "You must save the child, even if it means sacrificing the whole world, if you still have time at all." After tense back and forth, a crazy plan begins to form. Forget trying to move the planet out of Galactus's path. Instead, they'll try to move Galactus himself away from Earth. The key is to separate him from his ship, his source of power. If the calculations are right, maybe they can throw him to the farthest edge of the universe. There's no way they'll involve the baby in this, but with no other options, reality asserts itself. They agree, heavy-hearted but united, and the plan is set in motion. For this plan to truly work, they call in Harvey, known as the Mole Man, master of tunnels and king of digging. He takes charge of the mass evacuation, directing people to deep underground shelters, away from the chaos about to unfold. Under his leadership, thousands begin to descend underground. Above, the stage is set for the final showdown. The Fantastic Four, nerves frayed, bring baby Franklin to the designated spot, placing him alone at the exact center, using him as bait. Silence falls, everyone holding their breath. Then he comes. Galactus descends from his ship, silent and terrifying, scanning the area for the child. His mere presence shakes the air. Space itself bends around him. When his feet touch the ground, that's the signal. The Four attack from every side, quick, calculated strikes trying to shake him and draw him into the trap. But it's no use. They quickly realize this is not a villain, but a force of nature. You can't hurt him. For a moment, it looks like the trap might work. But then he stands tall and, in a voice like the end of the world, roars, calling them deceitful worms. Galactus focuses, scanning directly for the baby. As soon as he sees him, the giant starts walking toward him, each step like an earthquake. One by one, they throw themselves in his path, ready to stop him at any cost. But Galactus is on a completely different level. With a single blow, he throws Ben Grimm out of the battlefield. Johnny doesn't hesitate, flying after him to try and catch him. At the same time, Mr. Fantastic steps forward, face to face with the Devourer of Worlds, using every ounce of his elastic power, wrapping around the giant, trying to slow him down. But Galactus grabs him coldly, as if he were a lab specimen, stretching him like a rubber band, about to tear him in half. At that moment, Ben and Johnny return with force, just in time to prevent the worst. In the midst of chaos, Galactus advances. No one can stop him now. He reaches the baby and lifts him in his hands. The massive being touched him with a strange, almost tender touch, and then, in a voice that echoed in the emptiness, whispered, "You are my salvation." It was mealtime, but Sue stormed. As she unleashed her anger, she began to push Galactus back, breaking him piece by piece. With sharp focus and courageous precision, Sue guided him to the exact spot where the trap was set. From afar, Johnny watched, holding his breath. The moment Galactus set his foot in place, he triggered the switch. Raw energy exploded around the cosmic giant, and in seconds, the entire plan worked. Galactus was pulled from reality, sucked to the farthest edge of the universe, just as planned. The baby was saved by mere centimeters, snatched to safety by his father. But Sue collapsed, exhausted and barely conscious. The ground shook with a deep, terrible tremor. Galactus was coming back from the dimension they had exiled him to, forcing himself out. A rift opened and grew rapidly. In an instant, it was clear the ordeal wasn't over. Johnny stepped forward without hesitation, knowing exactly what he had to do. He looked at his team one last time, smiled, and said, "Tell the boy Uncle Johnny loves him," as he threw himself into the rift. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the distortion. It was Shalabal. Without a word, she pushed Johnny aside and threw herself into the rift, performing her final act of redemption. She dragged Galactus down with her into the abyss, ending everything. The battle was over. After that, everyone ran to the exhausted, bleeding Sue Storm, who was still breathing. Sue Storm lay on the ground, breathless, her body completely still as if it had surrendered after such an immense effort. Reed, her husband, was on the verge of panic, doing everything he could to bring her back. Then Franklin, their young son, began to worry. In the arms of a team member, he reached out toward his mother as if he could feel her absence in his little soul. Seeing that, they gently placed him next to her body. Then, a bright energy emerged from the boy. Suddenly, her heart started beating again. She took a deep breath, and her eyes opened. She was alive. Franklin clapped his little hands as if he knew exactly what he had done. The planet was finally saved, the baby too, and now even his mother was back because of him. The mission was a success. The Fantastic Four, now officially 5, joined the crowd as people cheered and celebrated them in gratitude. Someone handed them a tiny suit with the number 5 on the chest, a sweet gesture to welcome the newest family member. But Reed and Sue smiled and gently declined. It was still too soon. Franklin was still just a baby. Just as they were about to officially introduce themselves to the world, their communication devices lit up with a new alert. Without a word, they disappeared. But there's a post-credits scene. 4 years later, Sue Storm is at home, sitting comfortably with young Franklin, listening intently as she reads him a story. Sue gets up for a second to fetch another book from the shelf. But when she returns, Franklin is no longer alone. Standing before him is a figure cloaked in black, face hidden behind a cold metal mask. It's Dr. Doom. That means the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday, and that's the end of the movie.